Welcome to the Value Script, the podcast where we bring value every episode for the everyday person. We are continuing on with part 2 of our special guest, Sophia Martinez from Screws and Sparkles in downtown Buckeye, Arizona. And we're going to find out the secret to her success.
The secret. I'm just kidding.
One of the things I love about your business model is that it's not just all about you.
No.
You have, well, I guess I should ask.
Yeah.
What was your inspiration to empower others to be successful? And specifically, you were talking about mothers and having businesses and creating economic security while you're creating a family at the same time.
Yeah, I think a lot of great things come from lack. Like me not having what I needed, whether that be...
Like necessity, being the mother of all invention.
Right, So it's like, if I would have had those things, or if I would have had a teacher in school cultivate that entrepreneurial spirit, if I would have had church leaders tell me that there is such a thing as marketplace ministry, or if I would have had mentors in the business to say, hey, you can support your family by sewing, by crochet, by baking, you can do those things. How would my life have been different? I don't think that I would have Screws and Sparkles because it wouldn't have lit a fire under me to go create that for somebody, right? But being a mom and understanding that just because I'm a mom, I still want to paint and create and decorate my house. I am still creative, and we also still need money. You know what I mean? So What if I could do that and help my family? It's not going to move mountains, but it'll still buy uniforms, or I could take my kids to the movies or the park, or things that really bring me joy while my husband supports the household.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we all need to eat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how can we go contribute to the world in a way that you're able to provide for your family, but also you're able to give back and make the community better?
Yeah. It's called servant leadership, right?
Yeah.
It's like when you look at leaders in the community, you know who's a servant leader, that they're positioned to serve. Mm-hmm. Are you positioned to serve, or are you positioned for yourself? And real recognize real.
That's what I was going to ask. Who are you serving? Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, we opened the store in 2018 in 600 square feet. There's not a lot of retail space or infrastructure in downtown.
Right.
So it's really hard to even position your business in a part of town that doesn't have the facilities to do so. And so when I tell you, I called every single number. One thing about me, when people tell me no, I'm like, what does that no have to do with me? You know what I mean? I'm going to call you tomorrow, same time. And
I want to highlight that. Hold on. When somebody tells you no, ask yourself, what does that no have to do with me?
It has nothing to do with me. You know?
I love that.
Now, as a mother, you know that you have to channel that. When you have that, let's put it this way. When I was a kid, I still felt the same way. You telling me no, that doesn't apply to me, right? But if you can channel that and discipline that in a way that still preserves character and enriches the child, and say, okay, you're very strong-willed. Where can we place that? That mouth is not acceptable. These are the rules of this house, but you need to be in a position where you're making decisions, right? Because those are the type of people that grow up and say, hey, no. I'm not going to stop at what limits you put on me or the no that you tell me. I'm going for it. And I think that having that personality too is really worked to my benefit, because I could really care less what anybody says. It doesn't move me. It doesn't move me if somebody says I'm the best thing that ever happened to them, or if I'm the worst thing that ever happened to them. It's that doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form, because I know who I am, I know who I serve, and I know who's with me, and that is the Lord.
What gave you that passion and that desire to go to downtown specifically? Because for people that don't know about Buckeye, you've got the old part of downtown, and there are businesses down there. Nothing like what you've got though. Your shop is so unique, and
thank you.
And I love it, and I love that you went to downtown, but a lot of people would say, well, why didn't you go to Verado? Mm-hmm. This is a little bit nicer area, or off of Watson Road where there are more businesses, or what was it that gave you that draw to go specifically to downtown?
I was on my way to Goodyear to open my store. So it's important to know that as when we came to Arizona at the same time, my youngest started kindergarten. But my prayer at the time when I was a stay-at-home mom was, Lord, I want to open the store when Bug goes to kindergarten. And it just so happened that when we moved to Arizona, he started kindergarten. So I'm like, bye, I love you, have a good day at school, calling everybody. Because I knew that I had to open the store here because he was in school. I understand the principles of the seasons. That season is done. That season served its purpose. But now this is my mission, right? And when I called all of these stores and all of these businesses and nobody answered, or people would tell me, it's not open or whatever. And I went to the chamber. That's just what you do. And they were like, you want to open a store in downtown? And this was the chamber, right? And like, well, nobody really opens a store in downtown.
The chamber was discouraging you?
Yeah. I don't think it was discouraging. I think it was kind of odd that I just kept showing up and they were like, what are you, and they would tell me that, what are you trying to do? I said, I'm going to open a store here. And they're like, well, nobody really opens a store here. Maybe go to Goodyear. There's a lot, they were being honest with what they had. I don't want to say discouraging because that's not the right word,
just being real.
They were keeping it 100. Like, you might have more success here, you know? And so I took their advice. And then one day I was driving down MC 85 and and as I was driving right there on Monroe, it was like something just like hit my heart. Like, because I had a want to open it in Buckeye, but then that day the Lord placed the burden on me. So I could liken it to like almost a little bit of electricity, but it wasn't like that. It was just something awoke inside of me. And I looked around at downtown, there was nothing there. And I just knew the Lord was telling me to open my store here. So that again is a God moment. And I'm like, okay, I can. And I continue to call people and try to search for any availability. And then I remember I called the chamber again and I said, I'm going to open a store here and you're going to help me. And they were like,
okay.
I remember he hung up the phone like, what?
What?
Because at that moment, I knew that God was putting his burden for me to open there. Now, anybody in their right mind, when they look at what's happening down there, why would you want to position your business there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You visually, doesn't come alive to you, right?
And even the amount of traffic.
Yeah. And they're driving to the post office and City Hall and nobody's stopping,
Right.
So then I'm like, okay, God, you asked me to move to Arizona. I'm here. Now you're asking me to open my store here and nobody wants to open up their building to me. Okay. So every day I just prayed. I would drive around. I would pray around downtown and be like, something has to open up. Something has to open up. Lord, put my worship music on and just pray. And then something did.
So we saw you in the original spot. Mm-hmm. How did you get into that spot?
So a representative at the chamber said there's not really any retail space, but there is one lady who has kind of like a secondhand store that she opens kind of when she feels like it. Like, oh, today the store will be open. Okay. And he goes, well, you should go talk to her. So what I do, the next day I go over there, Hi, I'm Sophia and I would like to open a store here. And she's just staring at me. And she's like, what are you trying to do? And I said, well, I really know that I'm supposed to be opening a store here. And she goes, do you have a few minutes to talk? And I said, yeah. She goes, well, come talk to me, kind of in the back. And she goes, tell me your vision. And I said, I want to open a store for other moms like myself. And I know that it has to be in downtown. When I see downtown, I see it this way. And I know it looks like this way, but I know that I can make a difference here. And then she just looked at me and I could tell it did something to her, right? And she said, do you want this store? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, do you want this store? She goes, I could take out all of my stuff. Wow. And you can come in here. And I said, okay.
Wow.
And her name was Alice. And Alice was the woman that opened the door for Screws and Sparkles.
Well, now you have one of the biggest storefronts the downtown's ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah. So that building, I don't even know how long was that building vacant? Do you know?
Over 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, and I loved watching you
Wait, real quick. You have a storefront in a spot that was vacant for 30 years?
Yes.
Holy cow.
Well, and I loved watching it all come together because I followed you on Instagram ever since we first went into your original spot. And then to see like your husband and your kids in there and you're all working together and like cleaning it out and painting
nasty.
and I can't imagine.
Yeah. So we opened that little 600 square foot store and, I mean, that was a lot of work too. We did new floors, new painting. We had to, help her clean out everything. And people would come in, they would see me working and they would come in and say, just want to let you know your business is not going to succeed here.
What?
Yeah. And I would be like, and I would be like
Thanks for
awkward.
stopping.
I would be like, okay. Okay. Like, what do you even say? So I would just be like, okay.
Really?
Your no doesn't apply to me.
Your no doesn't, yeah. But it was a constant thing. And if we're going to be completely transparent, I still deal with that to this day.
Dude.
Wow.
Well, gosh, I hate to be so cliche, but it's like crabs in a bucket, right?
They're not in the arena, right? They're not in the arena.
Yeah.
And I know what I can bring and I know what I can do. And so long as my husband supports me, right? And the people that really believe in the revitalization of downtown really understand, like, this is important. Revitalization is important. Before Screws was in the new building, because this is our third location, we outgrew number 1, we outgrew number 2 twice. We had to break down a wall. And then they sold the building. So my dream was to buy that building, and I had imagined all the different things we were going to do with it. And the owner ended up selling the building. Here we are back at square one after all of this work. And again, there's nowhere to put my business in downtown except for this giant freaking old grocery store.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Ain't happening. Ain't happening.
Well, it doesn't look like a giant old grocery store anymore. Tell me about the unique nature of your business. You wanted to create a platform to help and empower other people to be economically secure and be moms.
Yes.
And stay in faith. And so what is unique about your business model?
The business model itself is not unique. I remember being, 5 years old in the Bay Area, and my aunties, they're huge crafters. And we would go to like markets and people would use their house during Christmas and there would be little tables of local people. So that model itself is not unique, right? What's unique is the way that I approach it with the mentorship, with the help and the guidance, with the encouragement. What's unique is that I wake up and I go pray around my store, and people don't have to share in my faith. They don't have to, but we pray up in here, right? Like, I will be in the shop driving around and praying for everybody in there, for customers or vendors. And we don't just work for success, but we pray for success. And, it's not a unique thing. It's not a unique model as far as the business, but what's unique is that we do more than that. So we offer free cooking classes for kids. We set up a free bookstore for kids. So there's kids that, they have the Scholastic Book Fair and they don't have $5 because they can't even eat dinner. So their mom's not even going to give them $5 to buy a book. So, okay, we have this huge space. Let's do story time and let's just set up a free bookstore. And any kid that comes gets to shop for a book. Right? It's what do you use with the space that you have? So I used what I had in 600, I used what I had in 1200, and we're going to use what we have in the 9000, right? And so it's beyond, our motto is more than a shop. We have, I think, the best retail shop in Arizona, hands down. We have a coffee shop. Those types of things have never been done before. We've invited a local Buckeye family in to open their coffee business inside of the store. We have free cooking classes for kids. We had it right before summer because we know that the kids are going to be home by themselves, teaching them food safety, being very strategic on how we impact the community with what we have. Because if you really are in downtown and if you really are with the people, like me, I'm in the trenches. So I'm with the people. I know the needs of the community. I know that there's a very high poverty level in downtown Buckeye.
So you mentioned that. I was going to say, how many, you said, so you have kids that come in and they can't afford to pay anything.
Right.
Like I guess I just wondered, like, how prevalent is that? Like how bad is the poverty in the area?
There's a lot of homeless, and we have a big teacher clientele. So the teachers will tell me, just in conversation, or when we talk about the needs, or I'll say, hey, how's work going? And they'll say, well, I'm not supposed to do this, but I pack lunches and they're in my trunk.
See, that's right. I just can't stand thinking about kids that can't eat.
Yeah.
Right. Kids that don't have meals.
I mean, even if you pull up to All Faith, when I tell you that I went to All Faith, which is the next block over from Screws and Sparkles, and that line was so long, and there was kids in the line, and it was summer. It was like 115 degrees. And it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, how do we make it better? How do we remedy this problem? You know, like, there's been times when me and JR, my husband, had to be on food stamps because I was a stay-at-home mom and he lost his job, right? We don't look down on people because they have a need. We all have needs, right? But some of us have more access to things. Some of us have a bigger platform. I know the platform that I have. I don't have the funds, but if I say, good morning, Instagram, there's a need in this community, who has the answer? What's the need? Well, let's get 500 books and set up a free bookstore. You know what's going to start coming in? Books, right? So as leaders, we have to see the need, fill it, and that's how we build community. It's more than just Screws and Sparkles staying open for a retail space. It's revitalizing downtown Buckeye and saying there's a greater need here. As business owners, as ministry leaders, what are we going to do differently moving forward into this year? And so I just try to do what I can with what I have, you know, like, and I have a lot of ideas, you know.
Ride your horse.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just trying.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I love that. I love that. Like, I think that's just really the secret to all success is you find a need and figure out a way to create a solution to that need, and then give it, like, not just give it in a way that, okay, I'm going to present this so that I can get rich. I'm going to present this to make the world better. And by the way, we have an economy and we all need to eat, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm doing this because I believe in it and because it's going to make your life better.
And we all know if mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So if there's a place where moms can come in, whether that means they're coming in and their kids could, you know, play the pinball machines, or they could just read a book in Screws and have a cup of coffee. Or we have games in there, right? There's free Wi-Fi in there. If they can just have they can leave their house for a little bit. Or if the mom can do her business and she's like, I made $650 and she can contribute to her house, and the kids see mom happy, oh man, that changes the whole dynamic of the household.
Well, what does that do for the kids too? Right?
They're confident.
To watch their mother, you know, be economically successful in an endeavor that, you know, she had to take risk and put work into, and then there's fruit.
Yeah. And you should see the kids that come in and they like, Mom, is this your space? Taking pictures and bringing some of them that are older, they'll bring their friends and I'll see them like, this is my mom's space. Like, it is so like, it is my dream job. And it's a really hard job. It's a really hard job, you know?
So how do people, I guess, partner with you, or like if people want to know more of how to contribute? And by the way, if you haven't been to the store, you got to go. It is a treat. It is certainly a jewel to the area.
Thank you.
It looks different than anything else that's there.
Thank you.
And it certainly has made our town better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So how do people partner with you, or how do moms that need that chance, how do they do that?
We have our website where you can fill out a vendor application to be a permanent vendor in our store. And we also offer pop-ups. So maybe you can't contribute, or maybe you can't participate regularly, but you can say, hey, I could do a Saturday and sell my cookies. Yeah. We offer that as well. Very flexible. We do month-to-month contracts, which that's just me thinking as a mom, like, I don't know what's going to happen month to month.
I can't commit to a year, but I can commit to today.
Yeah, you can commit there, and then you just let us know, hey, I wanted to try it, and you can go from there. Connect on social media. And I always tell people, before you apply, come into the store first. because I want you to be proud to be in there. So we get a lot of applications like, hey, I've heard great things about your store. And I'm like, have you been in? Like, no. And I'm like, let's start there. Yeah. Come into the store. Come in and see it. Because you have to be passionate about downtown. So when I interview people, I'm like, you're not just in Screws. You're a business owner in downtown Buckeye. And that's the type of ownership that we need people to understand, that this is our town. Sophia is the face of Screws and Sparkles, and I manage it and I run it, but you are still a business owner inside Screws and Sparkles, and this community should matter to you. You know?
I love that. I want to highlight this point. I mean, I've been here my whole life, obviously. Mm-hmm. I'm passionate about the town. I'm passionate about the people here. I love our community. And like you said, when we were talking previously, one of the biggest obstacles is convincing people that they don't need to drive 25 minutes away to Goodyear or another town, that everything they want and everything they need can be here, and we can support each other.
So it's what do you do when you give your entire life to building something and people have an opinion? Because even still to this day, Sophia, you know, your business is in need right now, because we are in need. If we don't get what we need, we're going to have to close our doors. That's just the reality. And they're messaging me and they're saying, Sophia, if you move to Verrado, you'll be more successful. And I'm like, I don't have time to explain to you guys that the Lord didn't call me to Verrado. The Lord didn't call me to Goodyear. The Lord said, build in downtown, and I'm going to provide every need. So here I am saying, Lord, I've been here 5.5 years. And every step of the way, I've been discouraged, but you've brought people to help me along the way. I tell Lord, this is your will, your bill. Yeah. Because you know my pockets ain't deep. You know what I mean? They ain't. If I look in my pockets, there's nothing in there.
I like that.
But the Lord doesn't always provide financially. He provides with creative ideas, or he provides with support, or he provides with platforms like this. Like, this is how we build community. Yeah. Saying, okay, well, I'm not going to donate $100, Sophia, but I have this. Okay, let's rock with that. Yeah. You know? And in this season where it's like, we haven't even really tapped into what we could really do. Why? Because I've taken the business as far as I could go as one person. That's what I've been doing by myself. And if we get the resources that we need, if we open up shipping, our online website, if we have real advertisement and the marketing behind to say, hey, come to downtown Buckeye, it's over. It's over. Because if we're going to be a city of innovation, which is what the leadership is saying, then we have to think like that. This is where we're raising our kids. I want people to be like, I'm going to Arizona and I have to go to downtown Buckeye. That's like a must thing. Yeah, I want people.
That's a go-to place. I have to do this.
You have to go to downtown if you're coming to Arizona.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And really, why not?
Exactly.
Why not? There's some jewels there that people just don't know about. Mm-hmm. Right. I don't know. Yeah. I could drop names. I don't know if I should, but like, we used to go to La Placida 3 times a week in the summer, working on the farms. And, we would have 12, 14-hour days. And that was on the way home. Mm-hmm. And we get, I'd get a number one. I'd get tacos and enchilada and beans and rice. And then I have a friend that that opened his own restaurant, Cafe 2535. Mm-hmm. And based on the scripture in Matthew 2535. Mm-hmm. And now you're there, and I don't know, it's an amazing thing. Actually, her mother manages the Buckeye Museum. There's an amazing amount of history here, and there's an amazing amount of strong people here. The one thing that's weird, and I don't know how to paint this, but there's an image that people think they have to uphold here. And I think that sometimes gets in the way. The image of? I don't know. It's almost like, for lack of a better quote, Jesus said a prophet's not recognized or is not appreciated in his own country. Mm-hmm. Right. And so it's almost like people almost are afraid to make it successful, are almost afraid to invest in their own town. They're almost afraid to make Buckeye be something great because they're from Buckeye. Yeah. And there's a stigma. It's like an internal stigma. Yeah. What you just said is really important when we really identify what are the problems, what are the structures in place that have prevented success.
right? What do we need to dismantle?
Well, it's like you have this awesome shop, right? But it's so much easier just to think, oh, I'm just going to go to Target. I'm going to drive 25 minutes away.
So much easier.
And go to Target, right? But why not support you?
Yeah.
Why not support us? Why not? People don't necessarily have the vision of this is us, this is me, this is part of us. And we're investing back in our community so that it can continue to be the community that we love and that we live in. And I don't know that the message always gets the traction it needs to stay supportive of what we have.
It's non-existent. If we're going to keep it real, then we got to keep it all the way real, right? There's no campaign that says visit downtown Buckeye in place. I've been here 6 years. You've been here however old you are,
46 years.
And there's not one sign from Verado to MC85 that says visit downtown Buckeye. There's not one sign from Miller Road that says visit downtown Buckeye. There's not one sign in place.
I didn't even know there was like a downtown Buckeye.
Exactly.
Dude.
So there's a something has to change. Something has to give, because when people moving to Buckeye and they think Main Street Buckeye is Main Street Verado, no. That Verado's in Buckeye, right? Buckeye's a city,
right?
And these are communities that are built so well that they feel like individual cities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what needs to shift? What conversation needs to be had where we start bridging those things and saying, as a resident in this community, you are a resident of Buckeye. And how do we mobilize?
And why is that neat?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why does that matter?
Why does it matter to...
Well, why have pride? Why have pride? I think that's part of it, is like, we're trying to drive people, or we would like to, with our efforts, drive more business to our own people, right? And to keep our money in, our own pockets and go to downtown Buckeye. But why?
I think people just don't know what they don't know. If he's saying he didn't even know there was a downtown Buckeye, that's our first problem.
Right.
First problem.
It's a pretty big city. There's over 100,000 people.
It's the biggest city in Arizona, from what I understand. And we're only built out a very small percentage, right?
Right.
We have the ability, with the amount of talent and skill set and everything that's here, to be like the shining star of Arizona. You know, it's so frustrating because I see it with my eyes closed. Like, I see it, you know? And yes, there has to be leadership, and yes, there has to be visionaries, and there has to be the entrepreneurs, but the community has to show up. Yeah. The community has to participate. How do you get people to participate in something they don't even know about?
Right.
Send them to the value script.
You have to know, if there's a meeting in regards to downtown Buckeye, the community needs to know that there's a need so that they can attend, right? Once you go to downtown and you meet the business owners, whether it's, the owners of the new outlet store, like, that store is so fun. Like, they just have the bins, and like one day everything's like $1. It's crazy, And then you have Irie Ink Tattoo Shop, or you have Happy You're Here Tattoo. And these are like people that have put their money into this town. And it's like, is anybody going to come? And we're all out here every day like, hey guys, we're here, And there's Screws and Sparkles. And then there's Gelato Tavern, which is my brother's cafe that he just opened up. And there's 2535, and there's Cotton Blessings, and there's different estheticians. I know there's 2 different estheticians. There's hair salons. There's Arlington Burger. There's now the tack room. Like, if you really came down here, you would really see, like, meet the owners, meet the people, because it's going to change your perspective on, am I going to drive to Target, or am I going to go see my friend over at Arlington Burger? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Am I going to go support somebody that's like me?
And you don't have to do it every day, because that's not what we're asking, right? We're just asking you to be intentional. We're asking you to talk to your family and say, hey, this is where we live. Let's go explore and come to downtown Buckeye. And also applying a little pressure to city leaders and saying, hey, put up a sign.
Yeah.
You got money, put up a sign.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to put up a sign. So now
be visible.
I'm like, do I just print one out and just go stand out there? Like, I'm crazy enough to do those types of things, If you see me out there with my mom bun with a sign like, go to downtown Buckeye, just honk and encourage me out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really fabulous businesses there, but we need people to know about them.
Well, and their quality too. Like, I don't know. One of the Meredith and I kind of call ourselves foodies. That's
Yeah.
like our favorite thing to do is eat.
Yeah. Right.
And we love good food.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to pay for food. That's one of the things I'm willing to pay for is good food. And downtown Buckeye has a lot of good quality places to eat. It just does. But nobody knows about them.
Stay tuned to the value script.
Right?
Let's start going. Let's start marketing these places.
We really should.
Yeah.
We go in there and we should.
And people, to have the right plan of attack, like if we're going to revitalize downtown, right, then what is the first step? You can write to the leaders in the community, because if people feel like you don't care, they're not even going to put effort or money. Like, oh, they don't really care about that, but when people say, hey, I really do care about that, because when my family comes from wherever, I don't want to drive to Tempe. I want to drive. What is there to do if my family's in town? What Airbnbs are in place? What hotels are in town? What restaurants? What specials? What rodeos happening? What's happening at Screws and Sparkles? Like, we have a giant disco ball in our store, a giant one. If we have a party in there, like everybody should come. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to drive so far to go have an enjoyable life in the town that we live in, that we purchase homes in. Right. There's people and businesses in place already that we open the doors every day. And it's so funny because at night when I'm at the shop, I can see the fellow merchants with their lights on and their kids in there, 11 o'clock at night. And I'm just like, do people really know what we're really trying to do and what we're up against? It's not easy, but I'm like, I always text them like, I see you guys out there grinding.
That's got to feel gratifying.
It does, because I'm like, they believe in it.
Yeah.
They believe in it, and
we're grinding with you.
Hustling.
Yeah.
Why? We could have built anywhere. And people think it's really cheap in downtown.
I was going to say.
It's not.
Really?
It's not.
But that's one of the coolest things about it is I feel like growing up in this community and having lived here my whole life, like people are grinders. Like, we know we're not Bill Gates and we don't want to be, but we're able to get shit done. And, we dig in and we work hard and we are grateful for the ability to do that. And we're also proud of what we produce. And so I think the other side of that is we got to support each other. When you decide to go out on a Friday night or on a Thursday for lunch and you're deciding how to spend your money, think about who it goes to. Do you want to support those people?
Right.
Do you want to support their values? Do you want to support what they stand for? And if you don't, then vote with your dollars.
And even if let's just say you try a restaurant and you're like, I didn't really like it. One, give it another chance. I'm just saying, just give it another chance. You don't know. I always give people second chances, right? But also think bigger than that. Think about what a walkable downtown looks like. Yeah. Think about before you review what you ate or your experience, think about the more people that come, the longer we could stay open, the more staff we can hire to serve you in the evening. And the more we can do, we have limited hours for a reason. It's not just because we want to go home and, I don't know, watch American Idol. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's because it's a lot. And there's certain time frames. There's winter and spring and summer plummets.
That's so hot.
So there needs to be campaigns in the spring. You know what I mean? I just have so many ideas, That's
awesome.
It takes the entrepreneur, it takes the city to open up some buildings, and it takes the community to show up and say, you know what, I haven't even thought about going there, but I'm going to try it. Because one share on social media can change the trajectory of a business. Yeah. When somebody comes in and does a reel, and then next week we have 20 new customers, oh, I seen this on my homegirl's reel. And I'm just like, you don't even know what you just did for my business. Yeah. You don't have to be the best content creator in the world, but one simple post, it just reaches so many people. And I think people don't realize how easy it is. And what I do love about Buckeye is when the residents of Buckeye know of a need, regardless of what it is, they're going to be there. They're going to be there, period. Yeah. And that's what I have learned and come to love about this community is just show us the need, because they're givers. This is a very generous city. The people here are very generous. And like I said, it doesn't always come in one form. I have people right now on social media that are sending me encouraging messages every day. They're not providing financially, or maybe some of them are, because I don't know everybody who is, but they're
helping
They're
prop you up
refreshing me
emotionally. Yeah.
I'm like, go, let's go. Like,
Rejuvenate
because
your
of that,
spirit.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you're right. I can do this, you know?
You're totally right about this community. They do stand up and they do help each other
Absolutely.
when they need to.
Even though we're growing so much and so fast, it still kind of has that small town feel in some ways because it's so big and it's so spread out. You still have those areas where you just feel like you know so many people, and you still have that sense of community.
Yeah. And that is found in downtown.
Yeah.
When you go, you cannot go to Ranchero's restaurant and not talk to about 10 people.
Right.
Yeah.
How's your kids? What's happening? What, you know what I mean? If you care about that small town family kind of vibe, you won't find that in downtown. Because trust me, small business owners, if we could roll out the red carpet for you, we would, because we treat you differently, you know? And there's things like Hope Fest that's coming up, and Compassion Clinic, and the center over there, they give out free food like once a week, and there's all faith communities. There's resources. There's just a lot.
Sophia, thanks so much for joining us. You are so inspiring, and we're so grateful that you were able to be on the podcast and share all of your story and inspire other people. It's fabulous. If you are a vendor and you want to get in touch with Sophia, we're going to list all of her information to get in touch with her. If you're a small business owner in downtown Buckeye, we would love to have you on the show. If you would like to contact us, we can promote your business and get going that way.
And if you are a resident of Buckeye and you want to make progress in downtown Buckeye, these are different ways you can get involved. You can contact the City of Buckeye, you can contact the Chamber of Commerce, and Buckeye Main Street Coalition. We need more people to come help us build, revitalize, clean up, and bring awareness to downtown. So
good. Thank you so much. Join us next time on another episode of The Value Script. We'll see ya.